I am back on my low level Let's Play account, my starting over account. It's been a while since I've jumped on it, but today I have tanks, we're going to be clearing my map, and I want to talk to you about being a low level in Boom Beach and some tips overall. And a little bit later today we're also going to be going over base design tips, and I'll be mentioning base design tips throughout the video when I come across bad bases. So I mean, there's so many base design tips I can give you. Some people wanted a base making video, but even when we were smaller YouTubers, those just never did very well, so we never really wanted to do like a base design video where we just make a base. But if that's something you guys absolutely want, let me know down below and we'll see what I can do. But this will give you a bunch of tips on what not to do. Now, I'm not saying my base is the best on this account. It sucks. I'm just too lazy to change it. My defenses are under leveled, which is what I like doing, and just pushing my offense. But this base design I would definitely not recommend. It's incredibly easy to flank. If I wanted to, I could have just smoked my tanks up here. I wouldn't even need that much smoke because a rocket launcher is not going to do anything. Grab all of this energy, bark down the boom cannons, come down, but it would take too long. But what you shouldn't do is have defenses clumped like this. One, it's easy to shock. You saw that in my attack. Two, it's easy to artillery and bark down, which you also saw that in my attack. And three, you don't have that many defenses to do it successfully. It's a little bit better in warships when you do it because there's so many defenses, but down here, like, you only have 15-20 defenses. You really can't afford to design your base that way. So let's talk about this base design. A good way I could have attacked this is to flank up here, grab all the extra buildings, and then work my way down into the base. Now, I'm doing this on a low level account just because a lot of low level players need help with bases. Once you get higher, you start to realize stuff, but these are just general base design tips you don't want to do. Don't place a bunch of offensive buildings or support buildings by themselves way off in the corner or off to the side. It's just free energy to people attacking. And again, I didn't do it. I didn't take all those buildings when I attacked. I kind of just went dead on just because I have tanks, and tanks are pretty overpowered. Just don't do it because it's not a good defensive strategy is all I'm gonna say. So let's just finish off this base by dropping some energy on some defenses. We might actually lose that tank. I'll drop a smoke if we are getting close, but I don't. Oh no. Yeah, we'll be fine. There we go. Let's go. Let's go. We're gonna get back to base design tips in a second, but first, a message from our sponsor, Skillshare. Jimmy and I have heard from so many creative people in our Boom Beach community wanting to start their own YouTube channel, and they want to start posting videos, but they don't really know how to. And that's where Skillshare comes in. Now, I've taken a few classes on Skillshare, from production of YouTube videos all the way up to social media marketing. And honestly, one of my favorite classes is from Gary Vee. If you want advanced social media marketing strategies, he has a class called Context is Key, and I highly recommend it. He explains why the value of context is needed in social media production. Also, Skillshare is designed to help you, meaning there's no ads, and it's incredibly easy to learn, explore, and discover new subjects that you want to learn about. The first 1,000 people that click the link below will receive 2 free months of premium Skillshare membership. Ooh, we got a supply crate. Let's go. Okay, I grabbed shards. Now we'll move on to the next attack. This kind of base looks easy only because he is going offense, which is good. Someone that follows what I preach. That makes me so happy. They're probably not a fan of our content, but they have resource reward statues, which is always a sight to see when you are attacking bases. You know, a lot of people will go offense, which is good. That's what we tell people, but having resource reward just helps you so much more because you are able to get so much more loot. When I was pushing and trying to max out my base on my main account, first thing, I had like 7 resource reward statues. I had so much resource reward. I had over 100% on boosted resource reward, which was honestly the best thing ever. When I boosted up, I was over 200%. So if I got 100,000 gold from a base, that would get boosted and I would get 300,000 if I'm thinking about this correctly. Okay, but let's talk about his base design. Let's ignore the fact that he has low level defenses. He doesn't care about his defense level. It's all about offense. And let's talk about spread out bases. Now, I don't like spread out bases at a low level simply because it's just, again, you don't have that many defenses. So people can kind of just roll through your base. But I do like spread out bases at a high level because you have way more defenses. The player attacking you, yes, they have more troops so they can spread out more, but I feel like your defenses got stronger, more stronger than your raider attacking you. So I like spread out bases. I like bases in the back. Now, I'm not doing it on this account, and I'm also not doing it on my main account simply because my main account is an intel base, and an intel base is simply meant to get you intel, not win. I'm not going to be able to defeat players having no defensive statues, so having an intel base just helps me get more intel. A spread out base I feel like won't really work as well as you want it to if you don't drop down prototypes and if you don't have defensive building damage or defensive building health or just defensive statues in general. So I would say if you're gonna have a spread out base and have your core in the back like the last base we saw at any level, have one, as many defenses as you can down, and two, try to drop down some prototypes or health statues. So next kind of base is the corner base. Now a corner base is always really easy to attack using warriors. When I saw this base in the video, I was like, I don't know why I said it like that. It made it seem like I was commentating over. When I saw this base the first time, I thought, do I have warriors trained up? And then I was like, dang it, I do not. Because it's such an easy base to attack using warriors when you don't have mines in a line. So if you're gonna have a corner base, utilize mines, have them in a line down here, have them in a line here, so people using warriors cannot flank your base. Like, that's the best way to go about it. Corner bases, I like. They're not really a thing anymore. People don't use them as much as they did way back in the day, simply because when we have tanks and we have bombardiers, they just deal a lot of damage and they don't really die. Well, your bombardiers do die, but your tanks do not die. And if you're using bombardiers right, you'll probably have a bunch of heavies, and your heavies won't die. So that's the main reason I don't like corner bases. It's just an old base combination. A lot of players have moved from them into front-loaded bases like mine, or spread out bases like the one we saw an attack ago. So if you're gonna do a corner base though, it needs to be anti-warrior, having a couple machine guns and flames by the headquarters and having mines. Corner bases won't really defend against tanks very well. I mean, you can see it here. It's just really easy to take out. You don't have that many defenses, so it's hard to hit tanks. Like you saw there, I just barred out the boom cannons before I even got to the boom cannon range. Okay, let's see what our next contestant is. This is kind of a front-loaded base, and front-loaded bases like this are the worst against tanks, and I'll tell you why. One, your tanks are going head-on, so having a hero or something in the center, I know I have Dr. Gavan, but if you had bullet in the center or critters like Everspark, it wouldn't work the best. It would hurt more than it would attacking a corner base. That's another reason I don't like corner bases. You know, they're meant to take down tanks, but I just don't feel like they do a good job of defending against tanks. Like, look at any of the top players. Tanks is still a very prominent meta in Boom Beach. Look at any of the top players. None of them are going to have a corner base. All of them are going to have either a front-loaded base, like mine, but slightly different because mine kind of sucks and it's really old, and I'm just too lazy to redesign it. So they're either going to have a front-loaded base or a mid base, and they're never really going to have a core in the very back. It's not something you're going to see very often. It's more, your core is more going to be surrounded by defenses. A lot of tanks are getting close to dying, and that boom cannon is actually going to hurt me a lot if I don't do anything. So what we're going to do is we're going to flare back and exploit this base while we talk about what this player did wrong. The number one mistake I see on our Discord server when people join it and they send in their base to me wanting some base design tips, the number one mistake I see is they don't utilize their support buildings or their offensive buildings. So by those I mean like residences, storages, that sort of thing. Vault, things that don't deal damage and kind of just sit there and give the enemy free energy. So you don't want all of your offensive buildings and support buildings in the back like the first base we saw, and you don't want them on the side here like this base. What you want to do is you want to mix those buildings into the base. So one, people can't flank your base and take all of them, and two, it provides a buffer for your defenses, and three, it's not just like a load of free energy. I mean, when I flanked this base, like that boom cannon was hurting me, and this cannon down here kind of stopped me from just flaring to the boom cannon. But what I did was I just flanked the base, grabbed all this energy, and barred down his boom cannon. So don't stack your defenses. Now, like I said, my base design sucks, but look what I do here. I mix in my offensive buildings into my base design. And now you might be asking, Christian, what the heck? Look at your main base. Your main base, you don't really do that. And you'll see all of my buildings here. Now this works for a couple of reasons. One, I've watched a ton of replays and really nobody exploits these sides. By the time you push and you destroy all of these defenses, it's going to take you way more time, and people don't have the stamina to just watch your troops go this way. Two, I have a machine gun here and a shock launcher here and a sniper tower here, so you can't just drop critters in the back. I know that if you bark down this and then drop critters in the back, but then my shock launcher, like, you're going to get a few extra buildings with energy. This side's a little bit different. There's not much you can do over here. But the reason I have my base design like this is, one, I copied it from a task force that was solely meant to get you intel. Like, it's a confusing base. You don't see this base often. I'm not saying it's the best base ever, but it gets me a lot of intel, which is really all I care about. So that's my best base design tips for you. I hope you enjoyed the video. Please drop a like if you did enjoy it. Also, go check out Skillshare. The first 1,000 people that use the link below will get a free 2-month trial, which is insane. Like, you get so much content and it's really good, and you can learn so much from so many very different people. So definitely go join Skillshare and check out some videos of creators. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed the video. Use code COSMIC in the shop, and I'll see you next time. Bye.